I am right now calling on the House of Representatives to impeach Judge Boasberg. Judge Boasberg put his robe down, stood up and said, "Sign me up to be part of the partisan vendetta against 20% of the Republicans in the Senate." That is a dereliction of duty and a violation of the judicial oath. And I want to thank Chairman Grassley and Chairman Johnson for pursuing this tenaciously like a dog on a bone. We are going to get the answers of every person who signed off on this abuse of power, and mark my words, there will be accountability for these zealots who wanted to corrupt the Department of Justice and corrupt the judiciary in order to try to attack their enemies list.
Welcome back to Harlan Reports, friends. I'm Harlan, and I'm so glad you're here with me tonight, though my heart is heavy with what I have to tell you. Before we get started, please, I'm begging you, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with everyone you know. The truth is under attack, and we need an army of patriots to spread the word. A judge, a man who swore to protect our laws, has betrayed us all. But don't lose hope, because President Trump is fighting back harder than ever. You need to hear this for the sake of your children and your country. Let's get into the story that is changing history right now.
Judge Boasberg doesn't judge cases involving President Trump impartially. He has made it clear time and time again in his rulings and his comments that he, instead of wearing that black robe, wears in fact a blue jersey. He has continually abused the power as chief judge in 5 separate ways. 1, forcing himself onto hot button cases. 2, abusing his power in the judicial conference to fearmonger to the judiciary about the specter of a non-existent constitutional crisis. 3, rubber-stamped gag orders on subpoenas against U.S. senators. 4, trying to hold DOJ lawyers in contempt for a case the Supreme Court said he had no jurisdiction over. And 5, he sits on the Circuit Judicial Council, which would be able to overturn any disciplinary action taken against him, interestingly. Article 3 has not policed itself. That's the reality. We have to be able to check a rogue judge through the impeachment process, and I don't say that lightly. The House must exercise that power.
Judge Boasberg used the authority of his office to authorize and then to conceal targeting members of Congress, spying on the legislative branch and striking at the very heart of the constitutional speech and debate clause. No republic can survive if its judges help opposition officials surveil the people's elected representatives. In his own words, Judge Boasberg claimed that he, quote, finds reasonable grounds to believe that such disclosure will result in the destruction of or tampering with evidence, intimidation of potential witnesses, and serious jeopardy to the investigation. Now, about whom is he speaking? Judge Boasberg signed that order concerning nearly 20% of the Republicans in the United States Senate. He made a judicial finding that multiple members of this committee, quote, will result in the destruction or tampering of evidence. What basis did he have for that? He pointed to no evidence. The subpoenas were kept hidden from us contrary to law in violation of 2 U.S.C. section 6628, which was enacted back in 2004, had been the law for 20 years. And we must view these in context. Judge Boasberg approved these subpoenas at the same time the Department of Justice was driving a politically charged prosecution of President Trump, an effort the voters themselves repudiated in last year's election. Now, since then, it has come public that Judge Boasberg claims he did not know who he was authorizing those subpoenas directed to. That doesn't make it better, it makes it worse. When you have a judge printing out findings that the target of a subpoena will destroy evidence, and he doesn't even know who the hell the target is, churning them out like placemats at a Denny's, that is directly contrary to the judicial oath and to the rule of law.
Folks, I have been reporting the news for a long time, but I have never seen anything like what happened today, January 8th, 2026. I'm sitting here, and I have to be honest with you, I've got tears in my eyes just thinking about it. We trust people in power to do the right thing. We teach our kids that judges are supposed to be fair, like referees in a game, making sure everyone plays by the rules. But today, our hearts were broken. We found out that a powerful judge in Washington, a man named James Boasberg, was doing something terrible. He wasn't being a referee. He was cheating. The news broke early this morning, and it hit me like a punch in the gut. Reports came out saying that Judge Boasberg was secretly spying on members of Congress. Think about that for a second. Congress is made up of the people you and I voted for, our voices in Washington. When someone spies on them, they are really spying on us. They are peeking into our lives, our secrets, and our freedom. It makes me feel so sad and angry to think that someone in a high tower thought he was better than the regular folks who work hard every day. It feels like a betrayal, like finding out a friend was talking behind your back. But much worse, because this puts our whole country in danger. I was talking to a neighbor of mine just an hour ago, a sweet lady named Martha. She was crying on her porch. She said, "Harlan, if they can spy on Congress, what's stopping them from coming after us?" And I didn't know what to say at first, because she was right to be scared. The swamp in Washington has gotten so deep and so dark. This Judge Boasberg was supposed to be a guardian, but instead, he acted like a king. But folks, hold on to your seats, because while this sadness is real, something amazing happened right after the darkness tried to win. But a bright light stepped in. Stay tuned, because I'm going to tell you exactly how the bad guys tried to hide, and how our hero, President Trump, stood up to stop them.
I do want him impeached. He needs to go, because you have a judge who has a responsibility to uphold the law. But what he participated in is the largest spying operation against your political rivals in American history. Everybody loves to talk about Watergate with Richard Nixon. Richard Nixon never even dreamed of something like this. This is outrageous, and you had a federal judge in on it simply because they were trying to throw Donald Trump in jail. And let's not forget, folks, yes, he's president now, but Judge Boasberg, Jack Smith, Merrick Garland, and the Democrats wanted Donald Trump in jail. That's what they wanted. And they would go to any lengths, spy on any American, spy on any elected official in order to do so. The second thing is, this was meant to be a chilling effect on Republican opposition to radical Democrat policy in the United States of America. Look, you want to disagree over public policy? Let's do it. You want to have hard campaigns where you fight hard and you're out there reaching voters? Let's do it. But when you use the Justice Department to spy and to wiretap and to track the movements of your political rival, that is un-American. That's why Judge Boasberg needs to go.
This is just extraordinary. The lengths that your colleagues on the left have gone to stop an outsider from coming into government. Donald Trump was an outsider, and they didn't want him to come in. They came up with everything: smears, lies, Russia collusion, tracking, surveillance. I mean, it's all extraordinary.
Let's get right into the thick of it, because what happened next is enough to make your blood boil. The Senate committee had everything set up. The microphones were on, the cameras were rolling, and the chair was waiting right there in the center of the room for Judge Boasberg. We were all watching, holding our breath, waiting for him to walk in and explain why secret warrants were signed to spy on the people you elected. But guess what? That chair stayed empty. Instead of showing up like a man with nothing to hide, Boasberg sent a letter, a piece of paper. Can you imagine? It was full of fancy legal words, basically saying that because he's a judge, Congress can tell him what to do. He claimed judicial independence. But folks, that's just a fancy way of saying, I don't have to answer to you. It was a slap in the face to every single American who follows the rules. If you or I got a subpoena, we'd have to show up. But he thinks he's special. He thinks the robe he wears is a shield that protects him from the truth. I remember watching the news feed, seeing that empty chair, and I felt a knot in my stomach. It wasn't just anger, it was fear. If a judge can ignore the Senate, who is running this country? Is it the people, or is it these unelected figures in the shadows? It felt like the swamp was laughing at us. But then, and this is why I love this country, the phone rang at the Capitol. It was the White House. President Trump wasn't laughing. He was furious. He saw that empty chair and said, "That's it." He didn't wait for a committee meeting or a focus group. He told the GOP leadership, impeach him. Now it was the strong, swift justice we've been starving for. He turned a moment of embarrassment into a moment of action. Folks, let me tell you, I have lived in this town for decades. Usually, Washington moves slower than a turtle in peanut butter. You know what I mean? They talk, they argue, they have meetings about meetings, but not today. Not with President Trump at the helm. The moment he gave that order to impeach Judge Boasberg, it was like lightning struck the Capitol. I'm talking about real speed, the kind of action we haven't seen in years, and it is glorious to behold. As I speak to you right now, lights are burning late in the offices of our brave Republican leaders. They aren't going home to dinner. They are staying late to write up the Articles of Impeachment. That means they're writing the official papers to fire this judge. It's happening right now. I heard that Speaker Johnson, a good man, a strong man, walked out and said, "We hear the president, and we hear the American people." It gave me chills, the good kind. It feels like the machinery of justice, which has been rusty and squeaky for so long, is finally working for us again. Think about how rare this is. Usually, the swamp, those powerful elites who think they run the show, protects their own. They scratch each other's backs. But Trump, he took a sledgehammer to that wall today. He said, "No more." And because he is so strong, the Republicans in Congress found their courage too. It's like when the big brother steps in to stop the bully, and suddenly everyone else feels brave enough to stand up too. I want you to really feel the weight of this victory. For years, we felt helpless watching the news. We felt like the people in charge didn't care about us, like they were playing a game where we always lose. But tonight, the air feels different. It feels cleaner. It feels like hope. And we are watching the Drain the Swamp promise happen in real time. This isn't just about one judge. It's about taking our country back. It's about telling every single person in power, you work for us. And if you break the rules, if you spy on the people's representatives, you're gone. I have to wipe my eyes again, folks, because I'm thinking about my dad. He used to tell me, "Harlan, in America, nobody is a king." For a while, I worried that wasn't true anymore. I worried these judges thought they were kings. But President Trump just reminded the whole world that in the United States of America, the only rulers are the people and the law. The swamp is already trying to whisper, trying to say this is too fast or too aggressive. But we know the truth. It's not aggression. It's justice. And it is beautiful. Let's dig a little deeper into why this is such a huge deal for families like yours. Imagine you're at the dinner table tonight looking at your kids or your grandkids. You want them to grow up in a country where they are safe, right? Where the rules apply to everyone, whether you're a carpenter or a judge in a fancy robe. That's the American dream we all share. But when someone like Judge Boasberg thinks he can just spy on our leaders, the very people we pick to speak for us, it's like he's trying to steal that dream away. It's scary, and it makes you wonder, who's really in charge? I was talking to a young mother, Sarah, from Michigan earlier today. She called into the show, her voice trembling. She said, "Harlan, I voted for President Trump because I wanted my children to be free. When I hear about secret spying, it reminds me of those scary stories from other countries where people are afraid to speak up." And folks, hearing her say that just broke my heart. No mother in America should ever have to feel that kind of fear. This is the land of the free. And that's exactly why President Trump's reaction today is so powerful. He heard voices like Sarah's, and he said, "Not on my watch." He's not just fighting a legal battle here. He's fighting for Sarah's peace of mind. He's fighting so that when you tuck your kids in at night, you know that the people in power are being watched, not the other way around. By ordering this impeachment, Trump is basically standing guard at the door of our democracy, keeping the wolves out. It's a moment of pure courage. He's telling every single American, I've got your back. And knowing we have a leader who protects us, like a lion protects his pride, that brings tears of gratitude to my eyes. And I hope it does to yours, too. Now, I want you to picture the scene in the Oval Office this morning. The sun was just starting to shine on the White House lawn, but President Trump was already hard at work. He wasn't thinking about himself. He was thinking about you. He saw the reports about Judge Boasberg ignoring the Senate, and he knew he had to do something big. He didn't hesitate. He didn't ask for a poll. He picked up the phone and made the call that shook the ground in Washington. Impeach him, he said. Just 2 words, but they were louder than a cannon blast. When I heard about that moment, I got a lump in my throat the size of a baseball. It reminded me of the great stories we read in history books, where a leader stands alone against the darkness. Trump knew the swamp would get angry. He knew the fancy lawyers and the news channels that hate him would scream and shout, but he did it anyway. Why? Because he loves this country more than he fears them. He loves the freedom you have to speak your mind, to live your life without being spied on. That love is what drives him, and it's what makes him the greatest champion we have ever seen. I wish you could have seen the faces of the people I talked to today. Regular folks, like the mechanic who fixed my tire this morning. He had grease on his hands and a smile on his face. He said, "Harlan, Trump is fighting for the little guy again," and he wiped a tear from his eye. That's the power of what happened today. It's not just politics, it's personal. It's about a president who looks at the scary, powerful people in Washington and says, "You can't hurt my people anymore." It makes you feel safe, doesn't it? It makes you proud to be an American, knowing we have a fighter like that in our corner. You know, friends, I wish I could take a camera and show you what's happening in the fancy hallways of Washington right now. It is chaos, total panic. For years, these people, the ones who think they are better than you, thought they were untouchable. They thought they could break the rules, spy on us, and laugh about it at their expensive dinners. But today, the laughter stopped when President Trump's order hit the news. It was like turning on the kitchen light in the middle of the night. All the bad actors, the ones hiding in the dark, started scurrying for cover. They are terrified. And I have to tell you, seeing them scared brings tears to my eyes, not because I want people to be afraid, but because, for the first time in my life, they are afraid of justice. They are afraid of you. They know that if Judge Boasberg falls, their secrets might come out too. They are calling each other, whispering in corners, trying to figure out how to stop this train. But they can't. The train has left the station, and Donald Trump is the conductor. I heard a report that some of the establishment types are going on TV trying to use big words to confuse us. They say impeaching a judge is dangerous. Dangerous? Let me tell you what is dangerous. Dangerous is a judge who thinks he is God. Dangerous is a secret court that spies on our heroes in Congress. Cleaning that up isn't dangerous. It is the most American thing I have ever seen. It's like watching a firefighter run into a burning building to save a baby. It's brave. It's necessary. And it makes my heart swell so big I think it might burst. We are watching the good guys win. Finally. Now, I want to talk about something really important. I want to talk about the Constitution. It's an old piece of paper written a long time ago by some of the smartest men who ever lived. They wrote it to keep us safe from bad kings and unfair laws. They wrote it for us. And today, President Trump picked up that old piece of paper, dusted it off, and held it high for everyone to see. By going after Judge Boasberg, he's saying that the Constitution isn't just a dusty old relic in a museum. It's alive, and it's the shield that protects every single American family. When I think about that, I get goosebumps. I think about the soldiers who fought to protect that document. I think about my own grandfather, who stormed the beaches in World War II, not for glory, but for freedom. Today, President Trump is fighting that same battle, not with a gun, but with the law. He is honoring every sacrifice ever made for this country. He is telling the world that America is still the land where the dark people rule, not the elites in their ivory towers. And let me tell you, the people are responding. My phone has been buzzing non-stop with messages from patriots all over the country. They are saying, "Thank you, Mr. President." They are saying, "Finally, someone is fighting for us." It's a beautiful thing to see, folks. It's like the whole country is waking up from a long, bad dream and realizing that the sun is finally shining again. We are witnessing history, and we are witnessing it together. United by our love for this great nation, I want to take a moment and talk about the heroes who made this possible. I'm talking about the whistleblowers. These are regular folks who saw something wrong inside the dark halls of government and decided to be brave. They knew that telling the truth might cost them their jobs or make powerful people angry, but they did it anyway. Why? Because they love this country. They saw a judge breaking the rules, spying on our leaders, and they said, "No more." They passed those secret papers to the people who could fix it, and today, their bravery is shining bright. It makes me weep with pride to think about their courage. It reminds me that in America, one person can make a difference. One voice can start a roar that shakes the walls of the swamp. And do you know what? President Trump honored that bravery today. By taking action, he told every whistleblower out there, "I hear you, and I will protect the truth." He didn't let their sacrifice go to waste. He took their warning and turned it into a weapon for justice. So tonight, when you say your prayers, say a little thank you for the people who stand up in the shadows to bring us the light. And say a thank you for a president who isn't afraid to fight alongside them. Because of them, the secret spies are running scared. Because of them, the truth is out. And because of them, we can look our children in the eye and say, we are still the home of the brave. But friends, let's be real for a minute. The swamp isn't going to go down without a fight. They are scratching and clawing. As we speak, the elite lawyers in Washington are circling the wagons around Judge Boasberg. They're on the news channels, the ones that never tell you the whole story, saying this impeachment is unprecedented or reckless. They're trying to scare you. They're trying to make you think that holding a powerful man accountable is somehow bad for America. But don't you believe it for a second. This resistance, it just proves how right President Trump is. If they weren't scared, they wouldn't be fighting this hard. It's like when you shine a flashlight in a dark cellar. The critters run. And right now, they're running because they know their time is up. They know that the American people like you, watching right now in your living rooms, have had enough. I feel this deep in my bones. We are watching a battle between the old corrupt way of doing things and a new bright future where the law means something again. It's a struggle for the soul of our country, and seeing Trump stand there, taking all the arrows, taking all the heat just to protect us, it makes me want to stand up and salute. He's taking the hits so we don't have to. That's not just a president. That's a leader who loves you, and that love is powerful enough to break any swamp. I want to leave you with one final thought tonight, and it's the most important one. This fight, it isn't over just because the papers are signed. The swamp is deep, and the shadows are dark. But today proved that the light is stronger. Today proved that when we stand together, led by a president who truly cares, we can do anything. We can reclaim our courts. We can protect our families. We can save this beautiful, fragile thing we call America. I look at the flag in this studio, and I see the faces of everyone who fought to keep it flying. I see your faces, and I know deep in my heart that we are going to be okay. We are going to win because we are on the right side of history, and we have Donald Trump leading the charge. So dry your tears, folks. Let them be tears of joy now. Hug your loved ones tight. Tell them that today, justice won. Tell them that America is back. And remember, Harlan will always be here, watching, reporting, and fighting right alongside you. And we are in this together, forever. Please, before you go, do one thing for me and for your country. Hit that subscribe button, like this video, share it with every patriot you know. We need your voice now more than ever. Let's keep this momentum going. Let's show the world that the American spirit is alive and well. God bless you, God bless President Trump, and God bless the United States of America. Good night, Patriots.